Here we are in Mr. Houston's kitchen, otherwise slash known as lab. We're gonna work with solution chemistry. That's right, we'll have unsaturated, saturated, supersaturated, solvents, solutes, and solutions, and you'll get to eat it when you're done. It's called rock candy. It's pretty cool and it can be applied a lot of different ways. What we're gonna need are 4 cups of sugar, maybe one or two wooden skewers, excuse me, 2 cups of water, a big pan, some clips, a cup, like a measuring cup, a stove, flavoring, and food coloring that's optional. You can see my skewers over here. And also, probably want to have mom and dad okay it with you. You'll probably need a couple glasses, some paper towels as well. And then we're gonna get started to see if we can make a super saturated solution. Okay, step number 2. Here I have a big thing of sugar on the stove, and the stove on the left side is turned off. Really important, you don't want to melt and make a big mess. On this side, I have 2 cups of water that I'm going to bring to a boil. The plan is I'm going to take 4 cups of sugar and slowly add them 1 cup at a time to the boiling water. As I add it to the boiling water, I'm going to make sure to stir it. Wait until it's completely dissolved. That means you should not see any more sugar or the white powder in the boiling water. When you don't see any more, add another cup for a total of 4 cups. I've just put in the first cup of water, I'm stirring it, the first cup of sugar, and I'm constantly stirring it. You want to make sure it's boiling, and if it starts to bubble over, then go ahead and turn it down. Okay, so now I'm gonna add the second cup of sugar. So the idea is you wanna constantly stir the whole time. I'm using a wood spoon because, plastic can sometimes melt. I'm gonna slowly pour it in and stir. I have 2 more cups to go. And if you come over here and look, you can see how it's not dissolved and I can see white stuff in the bottom. You wanna stir this until you don't see the sugar. I just added my 4th cup of sugar. It's looking a little bit murky, but that's okay. So I want to make sure till it's pretty clear and it's coming to kind of a boil. Once I do that, I'm going to take it off the heat. Then, and again, you don't have to do this part. You can add about maybe a half a teaspoon of any flavoring. I'm going to add lemon, and I'm going to add some red food coloring. You'd say, well, it makes sense to add yellow food coloring since it's lemon. I get that, but this is a low budget operation and well, we were out of yellow. So we'll make it like lemon flavored strawberries, I guess. But anyway, so I'm gonna stir this a bit longer. Now, as this is stirring, I took my skewers, I got them wet. I set them in a pile of sugar and I just let them dry. Those are gonna be my seed crystals. We are now making a super saturated solution, which means there's so much sugar in here, the water can barely hold all of the sugar. So we're just gonna get this to a nice boil. I'm gonna let it cool just a tiny bit. We're gonna pour it into the glasses. And again, I don't wanna add the flavoring too soon because if I do that, it'll probably boil off the flavoring. So we're gonna put them in there, cover them, and then come back in a couple days. So I've taken my hot solution of super saturated sugar, food coloring, and a little bit of lemon oil, and I put it in these 2 glasses. Now, the problem is the oil may have boiled off because when it was so hot when I put it in, it boiled off. I can always maybe add a little bit more. I might try that. Now over here, I have, if you look, there are seed crystals. And again, I took a wet skewer, put it in sugar and just let it dry, and there are my clips. I'm now gonna put these on here and put a paper towel over it and just let it sit. Okay, so now we started our little experiment of growing sugar crystals on April 3rd. It's now about 8 days later. And one of the things I had to do was just about in day 3 or 4, add a few more seed crystals. Very few sugar crystals. Let's see what we end up having. So I'm gonna take this off, and we're gonna take this off, okay? And if we take a look, and I'm gonna try and dig this out. Now, it didn't quite stick to the skewer very well, but we do have something that happened. And I can kind of pull this out. And what I have here is a chunk of rock candy. Okay, so we're just gonna put this right here. Now, if you've ever seen rock candy before, this doesn't look nearly as nice as the stuff you buy in the store. And I think chemistry can help us explain that. And this one came off the stick as well, but you see there's a little bit on the stick. So we're gonna put this on. So let's talk about what happened. Well, if you look over here at my model, okay, I have a model here, and what should happen ideally is these green particles represent the sugar molecules. And what happens is that there's so little water, these are super saturated, that the forces of the sugars grabbing the other sugars can force out the water, and we get this nice crystal. But there's a problem, and the problem is, what if we have some particles in there that are impurities? Imagine we have some oils or some minerals in the water if we didn't use distilled water, or maybe it was the oil from the lemon flavoring. Well, if you stick those impurities in there, all of a sudden, you'll get things like this. You may get a solid, but it's not gonna look as nice and neat as the type of solids we see with typical rock candy. So I think a great experiment might be, can we do this again, make everything a lot cleaner, and would that have an effect on the crystals we see here? This is a great example of intermolecular forces, or the particle forces that occur that make things stick together. So good luck and have fun trying this at home.